I think that with the viral video thing, just lesson to everyone. There's all these things about how to go viral. The truth is, it'll be when you look your worst. It'll be when your hair's a hot mess. It'll be when you haven't showered. It'll be something that is real, relatable, or controversial.
This episode features an interview with Nicole Walters. Nicole Walters is a speaker and entrepreneur who by the age of 28 was a highly paid executive at a Fortune 500 company managing multi-billion-dollar accounts, but she felt that her career was feeding her family and not her soul. So in 2015, she began live streaming, and as her audience numbers went up, so did her income. When she made $11,000 in the first 3 weeks of working with small business clients, she knew she was onto something. That same year, she quit her corporate job, which she live streamed on Periscope in front of thousands of viewers. And then she founded The Monetized Life, her speaking, consulting, and online education business. Since then, she's taught thousands of entrepreneurs through her regular live streams and her wildly popular online course on monetization called 1K One Day. In recent months, 2 of her live streams went viral, garnering over 20 million views and features with sites like Babbel and Yahoo. I was excited to record this episode with her before her keynote at FinCon, which is the conference for bloggers and publishers and influencers in the personal finance industry. Because I'm sure you guys want to know what I wanted to know, which is how did she grow her brand so big so fast? You will love this interview with Nicole Walters. Thank you for joining me for another episode of The Pursuit. I'm Kelsey Humphreys here with Nicole Walters.
Hi!
Who I feel like really could be my bestest friend.
We are best friends.
And it's taken us way too long to finally meet. So I'm glad FinCon brought us together here in Dallas. I feel like most of my viewers are obsessed with you and may already know your story. So I'm going to try and ask some new interesting questions. But first, for the small few who don't know, let's go back. So you work your way up in your corporate career, and then what, kind of claim to fame that put you into a whole other stratosphere was she quit her job while live streaming on Periscope.
I did, in front of 10,000 people.
So that is crazy pants. But first, I want to go back because a lot of people first just want corporate success.
Sure.
Like sometimes we forget about you were legit successful already.
Yes.
So what's your advice for people to work their way up in their career now? Maybe they want to go solo later, but right now they just need to work their way up.
Well, no one can ever outwork you. So I think that was the thing that I did better than anyone else. I looked for new opportunities. I made sure I was valuable. I spoke up. I was constantly trying to triage problems and find solutions, and making myself visible and being there and being present. That was something that I think when it came time to dole out the promotions, it was like, hey, Nicole's always here. She's the one. Now, I don't mean overworking yourself to the point where you're like, I can't function anymore, but absolutely trying to make yourself a valuable member of your team that's always a good player and always has solutions. That's something that, who doesn't want to work with that? Who doesn't want to pay that person more? So it worked for me.
Awesome. So at the same time, you're growing your other blog,
of course,
Natural Nicole.
Yes.
Which was natural hair products.
Yes, it was all like curly hair things and beauty and all that.
So explain kind of the relationship between that blog and Periscope and deciding it was time to quit your job.
Sure. So what I did in corporate America was I worked with sales and business development. So I actually liked the work that I did. It was more the people I was doing it for. So my company was great, all that jazz. I came in there young, and I had the opportunity to sort of build the division I was in up from a startup position. But the thing that happened was, after a while, I was like, this is feeding my family, but it's not really feeding my soul. I didn't feel good about it. And I wasn't quite sure what my options were. So I started blogging, and it was me tracking my own journey. I cut all of my hair off, and I tracked myself growing it back without any chemicals, all natural over the course of 5 years.
Wow.
And when I saw that how I got to help people and how people were engaging and just the reaction, I was like, this is amazing. I can actually leverage the internet to bring my expertise to help people. So I knew that there was something there. And when it came time to jump ship, if you will, and branch out and do my own thing, what naturally made sense was bringing the two worlds together.
Gotcha. So on Periscope, you start giving people advice, right? And that led to some clients, and then you were like, I could legit do this.
Yes, right out of the gate. So what happened was I said, okay, well, I have to try first, right? Because obviously I'm not going to just quit my job and have like no money in the bank or be crazy pants, right? So what I did was I went online and I was just started testing it out. Live streaming was brand new. There was no Facebook Live.
Right.
Periscope was pretty much it. People were testing with other platforms. So I just went on there and I started answering questions, mostly from bloggers just like me, who were saying, how have you been monetized? How do you get these gigs? I was known as like the rookie of the year just because it was like, who's this blogger girl who came out of nowhere and is working with all these brands? And it was because I knew how sales and product development worked in corporate.
Yeah.
So I just translated that over to my personal brand. And so I started giving tips and helping people out, and people said, well, I want to get on your email list. And I was like, okay, I've got one of those. And before I knew right, like mailing list for Nicole. You know? So it worked out great. And I made about $11,000 in 3 weeks. And when that happened, I said, okay, so this is a real thing. I'm about to quit. And then I did.
Amazing. So here's one thing I think is so cool. So you start live streaming a lot on Periscope.
Yeah.
And Shalene Johnson, who's been on the show, who I also love, finds you. And so she decides to sort of take you under her wing. She's like, brings you to so this is an amazing, like, once in a lifetime opportunity.
It's insane.
And everyone, I feel like a lot of people want to just zoom in and be like, oh, well, you know, Shalene took Nicole and whatever. She already, I mean, you were already working on your own.
Right.
But I want to ask you how to maximize that, because it's not every day, even in the corporate setting, someone comes in and is like, you see, oh, this person is really willing to mentor me. How to make the most of it.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'll give you the behind the scenes, because I feel like that's what you do. Something about your eyes, like all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta tell her all the things. So
please do.
That's what it is. No, but that's what happened. So she was watching me on Periscope, and I already had a following. So I think that she'd been watching and saying like, how's this girl getting a following? And she's totally into social and always wants to know all the new things. So I think she was watching to learn more about like how this is working. And I was already generating income and all that. So she reaches out to me and she's like, hey, you know, you're really good at this, and this really is a thing. Like, you already have the it factor with that. Do you know that this could be a job for you? And I was saying to myself, like, yeah, like, it can. I'm kind of doing that right now. Like, who are you anyways? Like, because I didn't know who she was, you know?
Exactly.
And so she was like, if you're interested, fly out to California, and I will give you a quick primer on how this is a thing. Like, I will show you what I do and the filming and all that stuff. Just like really, like, just kind of walking me through that it's a real job, you know? And that was the biggest thing that I think maximized it for me, was getting that real life look, which is the gift. I mean, like, not everyone gets that. Not everyone's transparent. Not everyone goes behind the scenes. And that was the biggest gift from her, was being able to see what my future could hold if I actually followed through. So the biggest way to maximize one of those type of moments, if you connect with the right mentor, if you get an opportunity to get stuck in an elevator, so do what the person says. Like, I mean, I just trusted her. So I met Shalene on a Friday and I quit my job on a Sunday, you know, and because I was like, I'm all in. You know, what's the worst that could happen? I've given years of my life to a corporation. What would happen if I gave myself a year? And what would happen is, you know, $1 million. So I did it, you know?
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you meet Shalene, you quit your job. Let's talk about, what were you doing week 1 and 2? Because you went to 6 figures really quick.
Yeah.
But someone out there is like, that just doesn't even seem possible.
Yeah.
So those very first few weeks, what were you doing?
Lots of crying. There was lots of tears and
100%.
tubs, you know, crying into mugs. I mean, there was just so many tears. No, I was freaking out. You know, I'm not even kidding. The first day after I quit my job, I had a list of things to do. It was almost at a point where quitting didn't feel like an option, because I had so much happening in my own business. But that first day, I remember standing in my, you know, around my kitchen island and just kind of saying to myself, holy cow, like, I quit my job and now I'm going to California. What am I supposed to do? What am I doing? Like, this is crazy. So I think that one of the things that first week is just like, allow yourself grace. You know, grant yourself some grace. Allow yourself space to adjust to this new concept and this new world. Don't feel like you have to be as busy as you were in corporate. Don't feel like you have to instantly have it all together. It's an evolution. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And so once that happened, then it became a piece by piece thing, you know. So I started building the way that I built in corporate, you know, and I knew that I had Shalene in my back pocket if for some reason I needed to push my Mayday button. You know, she was there for me. And I leveraged my resources and I made it happen. But yeah, that's the ticket. Just do the work.
Yeah. What are some of the main corporate strategies that you see solopreneurs
suck at, forget about, don't understand. Like, there's obviously some missing pieces that you just saw so clearly for things to expand so fast.
Yeah.
What do you think some of those are?
So there are two that I can say virtually, I think it's almost being taught incorrectly. So the first thing is diving deep. So I think that way too many solopreneurs are forgetting about the importance of lifetime value in your client. And lifetime value in your client means you're not just here for the quick hit money. You're here for the long run relationship. So you want to automate different things. You want to automate your systems. You want to automate your emails list. You want to automate your leads. But what you don't want to automate is that relationship. There's nothing wrong, even as a solopreneur, in picking up the phone and calling people once in a while, getting to know who their kids are, getting to know something about where they live, building that actual relationship. That happens in corporate. There are entire sales teams where there's nothing but their job to get out there and know the client, especially if they're a high ticket client. You should know something about them. So that's a huge part of it. Then the next thing is diving deep, right? So you want to make sure that you aren't just focused on getting all the people. So I think that that's one of the things that happens nowadays, where everyone's like, I just need more leads. I need a bigger list. I need all of that. But you know what? If you have 1,000 people giving you $100 a year, that's $100,000. So focus on finding your core 1,000. Feed them, love them, give them everything they need, provide value and services, and you know what? They'll stick with you for the long run, and you'll make a whole lot more than that initial $100,000.
Love it. Now, if you were at zero today,
Yes.
no one knows Nicole or anything you're passionate about or anything, how do you get the first 1,000?
Oh my gosh, go live. I mean, it's awful and it's hard, and people say, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid to go on the internet. This is so scary. But you know what? It works. Because live streaming is such a hot new thing, the algorithms are so friendly. Like Facebook wants people on live, so they're pushing your broadcast into people's news feeds. I mean, more people are seeing you than ever before. And I mean, I've gone live and I've had 2 viral videos that doubled my email list in just 3 weeks. So I mean, going live has transformed my business, and it's because I get to connect directly in a real, authentic way with people who are looking for what I have to offer.
Do you ever get tired of it? I feel like you are always on live.
What, get tired of going live?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Oh my, because here's the thing, I have no friends. Those are my, the internet is my friend. Like, this is it. My kids make fun of me. They're like, oh, are you talking to your friends? I'm like, sure am.
Yeah.
So I love it because, one, I have an automated relationship. So every time I go live, I've got friends, that I've had in this business with me who've watched this entire journey for 3 years that I get to share with them. And those same friends are the ones who really appreciate my wins. My family thinks it's old. They're like, oh, you had another launch? Oh, you made another couple $100,000. Good for you. Like, the family's like, whatever, like, are we gonna have dinner? But like, I go live and my rich friends are like, you just scored this keynote address. We are so excited for you. I just saw your article in Us Weekly. I'm so excited for you, because they've been there, they've seen the journey, and it feels possible. So I think that for me, that is the fun of going live. It just stays fresh. It feels real. It's like picking up the phone and calling a friend.
You mentioned Us Weekly. You got picked up bunches of places.
That was crazy.
Like Bumble, Babbel, whatever.
Yeah, Babbel. Yeah, all
and
the different
Yahoo.
things.
I mean, tons of them.
It was nuts.
For the mom hiding out one,
Yep,
right? And
yep.
then and the college mom
And
one
the college
too.
mom one, yep.
Okay, so both of those, which are hysterical, you guys go watch them. But how did that change your life? And what I love about it is that, like, you weren't trying to make a viral video. You were just right. I mean, there wasn't any strategy.
No, there was no strategy.
And so, but afterwards, this is what I assume. Afterwards, you're like, oh, we're gonna add some strategy,
right,
because things started exploding. So how did you respond?
Right. So I think that with the viral video thing, just lesson to everyone. There's all these things about how to go viral. The truth is, it'll be when you look your worst. It'll be when your hair's a hot mess. It'll be when you haven't showered. It'll be something that is real, relatable, or controversial, no matter what. So my viral videos were very much that. It was an everyday life of a mom, and it was truly what happens in my house, and that was the thing that went viral. Now, the aftermath was, the first thing I did was I let it go viral. Meaning I didn't immediately start doing something else. So one of the biggest things that I see happening with people who go viral is that they'll immediately try to crank out a bunch of additional content that seems to be aligned with what that is. Just because I had one thing that went hot doesn't mean I need to change my whole business strategy up and do something else. Obviously, I was doing the right thing, which is why this thing worked. So I don't need to revamp my entire strategy just because one thing worked. So that was the first part. I just let it go viral. Once it started tapering off a little bit, I went ahead and I uploaded my speakers reel to my page just so that people got a good, quick primer that was less than a minute long of who I really was and what business offerings I had. And I made sure to connect that to my email list. And that allowed me to convert very quickly a lot of people over to my list because I was ready, And I think that that's something everyone could do today, right now, for their next viral moment is stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah. You mentioned your speaker reel, and it's so congratulations. Lately, you've been doing stuff with Dave Ramsey and some of the Dave Ramsey personalities. And of course, you're keynoting at FinCon. And the other thing is, like, guys, my other guests who are doing those kinds of things have been around 6 years, 8 years. You're in year 2, correct?
Yes.
You're about to be in year 3.
Right, that's correct.
Like you're probably the most valuable guest I've had because she's still in the trenches.
Thank you.
So tell me, how did you do any go out and get those types of things, or did they all come to you organically?
So a little bit of both, column A and column B. First of all, God's favor. I'm a God girl.
Me
Favor,
too.
Okay, straight up. That's what it is. I pray on it. It happens. Blessed. However, hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
However, the other side is I pitched. I didn't sit around and wait for opportunities. So the Dave Ramsey gig, it took me a pitch. It took them saying no. It took 8 months of negotiations before they brought me on board. And then when I came on board, I slayed and I delivered. I did not show up half-stepping. I was there with my best wig on, all the Spanx. Every single pair of Spanx had them, okay, like on.
Yep.
Prayer candles, duct tape, holy water, and then a keynote that was ready to slay. I was like, I'm going to bring my best so that way when I'm the best thing they've never heard of. And that's the demeanor that I take into every opportunity, that I may have got the gig, but I need to earn the fact that they were right. I want to make sure that their audience is like, I didn't know about her and she's the best thing I've ever seen. And so every single time I've had an opportunity, I've pitched for it. And the ones that show up, I absolutely show up and do my very best once I get there. So I think that oftentimes we worry about how do I get it, when a huge part of getting your next gig is how well you do with the one in hand. So work ethic.
I feel this is another one of our kindred spirit things, because with Dave Ramsey, if you follow, you should know, followed up with him for 18 months to get him as a guest. And I love that you said you had to follow up for 8 months before it happened. And then, I got 22 minutes, I think it was 23 or something, before he had his next meting. So like you said,
Squeeze
it's
in there.
the Super Bowl, you prepare. Anyway, so that's so funny. And
that's how it works.
So I want to know, did they do after the 8 months, did they agree to bring you on for one and then you had to perform, or did you negotiate two?
Well, it was just one thing. So I was brought on for a specific event, and it was like kind of a breakout role, and then I was like, oh, but I probably could do more, and it's like, see what you can do. And then they were like, all right, we'll let you do this thing. And then I was like, I wasn't a keynote, they let me come and do a main stage, but it was a different type of main stage, like a main stage interview, and then 3 breakouts. And I was like, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to look so good. I exfoliated for days. I was like, I am going to be the person that when I show up, these people are going to be like, who is she? I need all of her, you know? So that was the first part. And then after that, they were like, you were awesome. We want you next year. We want you on tour. You were great. And then the thing was, once I got the other gigs, I kept showing up. I made sure I take their stuff very seriously because they take their business seriously. And I think too often bloggers, influencers, speakers, I don't want to say that people believe their own hype, but I think sometimes we forget that we're all very regular people, and we're so blessed and fortunate to have a platform. And if you have a platform, you've got to show up. And that means when you get there, give even more. It's not just doing your main stage. It's popping into the VIP lunch. It's when you're in the lobby interacting with people so that later on they're tweeting, I met so-and-so and she just, treated me to a coffee. Be a regular person, because that adds value to that event. My job is to make sure FinCon is the best event ever. And my job in doing that is not just on stage, but it's anytime I interact with someone. So I think that taking ownership over whatever event you have the blessing to be a part of, it's part of translating into additional opportunities and letting people really love what you do.
I love that. Can you give some tips on pitching?
Sure, absolutely. So one, do your research beforehand. I think too often people think pitching happens in the email or in the conversation, and it doesn't. The best pitches start from your desktop on your computer doing research. Know their business, know their mission statement, know what their upcoming products are and what their trajectory of their business is. So too often people will pitch and they'll pitch to something that's 10 years ago. I know how much you love such and such, and it's we don't do that anymore. You're way off mark.
Yeah, good
so, doing the research beforehand is huge. Next, when you get in there and you do your pitch, bullet points, be matter of fact, and pitch to the how you're going to work together, not just the why you should work with me. Too often we get focused on the proving and not the pitching. And you don't need to prove it, you're already there, right? And if you have the mentality that I'm the best thing you've never known about, let me just go and say, here's how we're going to work together. I want to do a campaign, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and this is how it's going to work out. When you start pitching that way, what happens is in people's mind, they're instantly thinking, is there room on my calendar? calendar? Can I do this? Is it in the budget? They're not thinking of the no. They're thinking of how we're going to do this. And then the last part is closing with something concrete. So are you free Thursday at 3 p.m. so that we can chat? Because then right away they're like, am I free? They're not thinking, no, who is this person? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's always, it's worked for me. I mean, it worked all through corporate, and it's
Love
still
it.
working now.
So one of the things that I think is so smart that you help your clients and students is to monetize everything.
Yes.
Like nothing's free. Monetize
Yes.
thyself.
Right.
But as I listen and I can think for my audience and some of the frustrations, it's kind of like, well, like if I have a great affiliate link to like this book that I love, mm-hmm. if I have no one, like you have to have people to click on the link. Right. So I think right now there's a lot of people who are like, great, I'm going to set up a website. I'm going to have all these affiliate links. It's going to be linked out the wazoo, and then crickets.
Right.
Which is, marketing 101, so it's a big topic. But, other than live streaming, which you already covered, how do they get the eyeballs, or else the monetization doesn't work?
So I think one of the biggest things that we forget is people get caught up in the content. They're like, I need a beautiful Instagram page, and I need, I need everything to be amazing. I want to have a podcast, and I need to be really good at Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, like all these things. And it's like, you know what? Pick something and be consistent. Like, I don't care what you're doing. Make sure you love it so that you'll be consistent, and then do it frequently. So with Periscope, there were days where I was scoping 3 times a day. I definitely don't go less than once or twice a week without going live, because that helps feed my business. So whatever it is you want to do to get eyes, understand that in the beginning you're not going to have them. You need to do it because you love it. So make sure it's a platform you love, and then do it often and regularly. The eyes will come, because that's how the internet works. People are already hanging out there. You just need to make sure that they know you exist. And if people can't find you, they can't pay you.
I love that. You say it all the time. It's so good. How about your advice on finding who you're targeting? Because obviously that's a huge part of it too. So now you have rich friends, you have this whole rich friends community. How did you narrow down, this is what a rich friend looks like?
Sure. Well, I did an avatar exercise. So that's something that we do in corporate, and I think a lot of people do it now as entrepreneurs. So I wrote out 5 people that I felt were part of my target audience. And I started with myself. I think oftentimes we're like, oh, I don't know who would be a good fit, and I don't know where to start because I'm just completely lost in my market. Well, I started with me. I was like, okay, well, they're probably like, in their 30s, and they maybe have like some kids, and they're kind of a hot mess, but like a functional hot mess, and they want to do more, but they kind of feel like less, like those sorts of things. Yeah. And I just wrote that out, and I said, so what would it be like if I was talking to Nicole? What would Nicole need to hear in order to come into my business? And once I got that outlined, then I was like, well, who else would I really want to work with? Well, I want to work with, a baby version of Nicole, someone who just started out in corporate and, wants to jump into this thing, but isn't ready. And so I wrote out that avatar. And so I have about 3 to 5 avatars that are based on my entire brand, and also aligned with specific products that I already have, because each of those people needs to lead to something that'll actually be a solution for them. So that's the easiest way to find your target market. And then I go live and I just talk to those people.
I love it. Okay, last few questions.
Sure.
So you have 3 children.
I do.
Which, again, I feel like in this space, there's not very many mompreneurs in the kind of world we roll around in.
It's crazy.
A lot of single folks.
A lot of single folks.
Mm-hmm. And I wondered, I've heard you talk about, there's not balance, which I completely agree.
You're right.
But how do you integrate it? Like, what does that look like for you where everyone is loving it and we're all happy and no one is annoyed or feeling like, would you just put your phone down?
Right. So there isn't a place like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's always some place where even if everyone in the family is happy, I still feel like I wish I could do more, because the truth is my family's my favorite. Like, I don't just love my kids. Like, I actually like my kids. Like, I think they're funny and interesting, and I like looking at their faces, so like, I want to be there all the time. Like, as much as I love being here and this is the coolest thing ever and I can't even believe this is my life, I also would love to be snuggled up with my 6-year-old, so no matter what, there's always going to be some part of you that's like, like there's always going to be that. But I think that what I do is, one, I make sure that their needs are always met. My family comes first, and they know that. So if one of my girls were to call me right now and say, hey, I need to talk to you, like, everything on pause, picking up the phone, we're having a chat. If she's like, hey, you need to go, like, I love you, I'm so sorry, Kelsey, I'm out of here, and my kids know that. So they know that no matter what, if they, push that Mayday button, I'm there for them. So I think that's the biggest thing to establish, and that consistency and that trust is what will give you the emotional freedom and free you from the guilt, because you know where you really stand, and it'll also give your kids the security and stability that they feel, because they know that no matter what, mom is available, no matter how far away she may be.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, last 2 years, looking back, almost 3, what has been the worst part and the best part?
So the worst part has been the learning lessons, the highs and lows, like you have moments where you're feeling like you're crushing it. You're like, man, I'm making all the money and everything's great. But then you kind of hit that wall where you're like, oh, if I did it, now what? And then you realize, oh, I have to grow. And then you realize growth usually hurts, right? Because you only get stronger by lifting weight. So that was the toughest. At the beginning of 2017, I realized that if I wanted to get to the next level, if 2018 was going to work, I needed to grow. And it wasn't just, my business was already structured for growth. So it was growing by itself, not by itself, but in context. But the part that I was struggling with was that I realized the growth was my own. Like, I needed to get healthier because if I want to do more keynote speeches, I can't be out of breath on stage. And because I am very much the central core of my business, I'm the product and the leader, then I had to be my best. And if I'm not my best, then I'm not giving people my best, and they deserve that. So that was a really hard realization because it's like, it starts, the buck stops here, own it, and I knew that the journey was going to be tough, and I wasn't excited about it. I'm like having a moment. I'm like, it was so hard, it was so terrible.
Yes.
But no, that was the truth. It was just hard, and I think that that's the thing where a lot of us, it can either happen before success or after success, but no matter what, through entrepreneurship, there are going to be moments where you're going to have to say to yourself, it's me. I have to grow or else I will not move. And that is tough. So those were the hard moments, and I've probably had like 2 or 3 of those.
I just want to pause. This is kind of awkward, but I wanted to just speak into you that is really amazing. Again, going back to how short amount of time, like the people I interview, they learn all that stuff over like a decade, and you had all that. I mean, blessings. Yes, thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
But really quickly, and so I know it probably felt like you were having to just freaking expand.
Oh yeah, so
all
hard.
Of a sudden, So I'm
Yay,
just really
thank
impressed.
you.
That's amazing.
I appreciate
to have
that.
to go through all that growth.
I appreciate that. I have a 6-year-old who, if I come downstairs, will be like, "Are you wearing that?" So, I mean, I've got a very critical family. So,
I'm here to tell you, you're awesome.
I appreciate that. So they kind of keep me in check. So, but thank you. Yes. So there's that part of it.
Yeah.
So, and no one really prepares you for that. Everyone will tell you,
right.
"Oh, it's a journey. Oh, there are highs and lows," but no
Yeah.
one tells you that, like, you will run into situations where you're like, I feel like I'm doing all the things. Like, why isn't this working? And the answer is because you have to do work, and that part is the, so that was tough. But then the other side of it, the good moments are like the wins, the launches, the lives impacted. Like, I love coming to these events. I love speaking on stage. And it's because when I'm done and I get to see people's faces and I see what's happened, that's like, there's nothing else like it. There isn't a dollar you could put on it, because when you realize that you've helped someone pay their kids' school fees, when you realize that somebody now, they always do the work themselves, but that they've, internalized something that switched on a light switch for them that made them go for what they deserve. I can't even quantify in words. It's just something entirely new. And then the other really big highs for me are, I've never talked about this anywhere, but again, something about your curls just makes me want to be so honest. So,
bring it. I'm ready.
But it's these like little things, these little things, like these God moments that I've had where I'll, come out of my hotel room at a conference in Boise, Idaho, and Seth Godin will be in the elevator. And it's just like, hey, and I won't know, you know what I mean? And I'll just be chatting him up and talking about his, how he should exfoliate his scalp because it'll help his business. And then it's like, oh, are you Seth Godin? Like stuff like that, like moments like that will happen. Or like, I don't know, you'll book FinCon and then Pat Flynn will text you and be like, congrats, and you're just kind of like, just a year ago, I was like, he's the coolest, and you just have those moments where you get this validation that all the moments that were hard with the growth, it was worth it, and people see you, and not only do they see you, but they support you, and they want you to win. And then you realize that if you're having that moment, you have the ability to give it to someone else. And that is like, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Like, oh, I don't want to get teary. Do people cry on this?
Every so often. Tony Robbins did.
I feel like
there's no water in that.
I know, there's no water. That was literally just theatrics.
Hey, if Tony Robbins got choked
up, you
can get choked up.
I know.
Okay, so last question, and then we'll jump into fast facts. But let's say someone is still in their corporate job, they hate it, and they really want to get out. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that, because let's just say they already left and they started their own business.
Okay, sure.
And they're in year 2.
Sure.
They're frustrated, and they're looking at you. You're in year 2. You're having a very different year 2.
Right.
Okay, so what's your number one piece of advice to figure out why they're stuck
Sure.
So that they can get unstuck.
Use your resources. Oh my gosh. And here's the big twist on that, right? Like, use your resources. Like, I am Googling, I am using courses. No, I mean, resources sometimes come in the form of people. And that is something that I think we overlook so often, that we're like, I just need to pay for another program. I just need to sign up for another course. I just need to pay for more Facebook ads. Money's not always the answer. Sometimes you just need to ask, like, and that person may be your husband. Like, what have you seen? I feel like I'm working really hard. What do you see going on?
Yeah.
And then, you'll be surprised at the insight you'll get. If you're in it and you're too close to it and you're too passionate, you just need that, that high level view, ask, and I've been blown away by the resources I've had in my back pocket the whole time that I've never taken advantage of, because I didn't realize, that they were here to give me that answer. I'm here thinking there's something else I have to do, and it's really just asking someone, and they're like, oh, do this,
Yeah.
And so that is, if you're in year 2 and you're freaking out, ask, and it can. That's the other thing. Don't be ashamed. Well, you asked for one thing. I'll tell you two.
Keep going.
Don't be ashamed to ask someone important. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that, like, the worst anyone can ever say to you is no, and you get this, right? Because you interview the big wig fancy pantsers, and so, like, because of that, it's because you're not afraid. And I think that, well, no, you're probably afraid, but you're doing it anyways, which is the superhero part. Yeah. And I think that not being afraid to hear no is the biggest thing. So if you want to tweet or DM Tony Robbins, do it. What's the worst that can happen? He could say no. Just be respectful, follow all my pitch points that I said earlier, respect his time, and go for it, because that could be the moment that everything breaks through. And for me, from day one, I've been like that. And I mean, that's why I am where I am, so, and God, so I'm grateful.
Love it. All right, we're going to be right back after this with Fast Facts.
Man, that was a special interview because she is still in the trenches and she is still just at the very beginning of her entrepreneurial journey, which, as I said, makes her a really unique guest. And even though there's a lot we can learn, here are my top 10 keys to success for the rest of us from my conversation with her. Number 1, put in the work. Remember, she had an impressive corporate career before she went out on her own. I love her quote that no one can ever outwork you. So be willing to put in the hours, effort, and commitment to build your knowledge before you try to build your platform. Number 2, test your idea. Walters had a side hustle blog that she'd grown over the years about natural hair, and that blog was bringing in money, so she had her corporate finance experience plus her blog, which gave her all of this wisdom. But instead of just deciding to jump into the online space sharing that wisdom, she used live streaming as a testing ground. And then, as I said, once she had $11,000 in 3 weeks, she knew she was going to be successful. Make sure you test the waters on any new platform or technology, because what works for one influencer or brand might not work for you. If you test and do see early success, jump in so you can dominate early on like Walters did. Number 3, stay ready for the big break. Sure, Walters caught a big break when she got attention from Chalene Johnson, who then became her mentor. But remember what she said, you have to rise to the occasion of that opportunity. And she said one of the biggest mistakes she sees when people have a big break is that they immediately rebrand and reposition to align with whatever it was that went viral. So make sure that if you have a big break, you stay ready, that you're prepared on the front end so that you don't have to reorganize something or totally overhaul your strategy if a big break happens. Number 4, serve well when given the opportunity. Not only did Walters rise to the occasion in terms of her work ethic, but she also made sure that she was really serving. She said that she made sure as soon as her platform started to grow that she's really serving her readers and viewers and customers and clients. Make sure the more you get additional exposure and bigger partnerships that you also grow your level of excellence and your commitment to service. Number 5, give yourself grace. I love when I asked her, well, what was it like at the beginning? And she said there was lots of crying. You guys, that is so true. I know it was true for me too. She advises that new entrepreneurs and small business owners that are having explosive growth or that are right at the beginning, just give themselves some grace and not feel like you have to instantly have it all together. Number 6, think big picture and long term. Walters thinks that one of the reasons she's been able to quickly stand out and then maintain momentum is her mentality around her followers and customers, because she is thinking about lifetime value. She says everyone thinks I just need more leads, but really you just need to feed, love, and give everything you can to the people that you do have, and they will stick with you for the long run. Number 7, start live streaming yesterday. Growing a brand means getting the word out, and Walters says the best way to get the word out is hands down to live stream. If nothing else, live stream because the algorithms love live streaming right now, so more people are going to see your content. You can use live streaming in many different ways, so find a way that works for you. Practice in a mirror, make an outline, find a quiet, well-lit room, and press that red button. Number 8, be consistent. Walters said that in these feed-obsessed times, entrepreneurs get caught up in content, thinking we need a beautiful Instagram page, we need to have a podcast, we need to be really good at Twitter or Tumblr. And instead, she says the key is to pick something and be consistent. She said, understand that you're not going to have eyeballs at the beginning, so you need to do something that you love so you can keep doing it so that the eyeballs will come. Number 9, be proactive. Now, Walters is getting approached for keynotes, book deals, and development deals, but she is also still actively pitching and submitting for opportunities. She said she didn't sit around and wait. She went out there and pitched herself. If you want those big opportunities, remember, the key, I've talked about this before as it comes to my show, research, research, research. I also love how she said to come into the negotiation with confidence, talking as if things are already going to happen. Here's what you're going to do, here's how you're going to do it, and here's when, so that the person on the other end is thinking about how they're going to fit it into their calendar rather than thinking about whether or not they're going to say yes. Lastly, number 10, be prepared to grow. All successful business owners will tell you nothing pushes you to grow like entrepreneurship. Walters experienced that growth really quickly. She had to get therapy, she had to figure out how to build in more family time, she had to overhaul her health. But remember, all of that growth is going to be worth it. Yes, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to grow yourself if you want to grow your business. But then she said there's these amazing moments where people see you, they're cheering for you, you finally get validation, and then you have the ability to cheer on someone else. So be prepared to grow.
Now, I'd love to know, what was your favorite lesson from this interview? Leave a comment, and if you want to learn the juicy behind-the-scenes details like what was she like in person, how did I land this interview, bloopers, and more,
go to thepursuit.tv/Nicole Walters.
All right, we're back, and we're going to play Fast Facts. Disclaimer, these are never all that fast, so don't feel that much pressure.
Okay.
But here we go. Chocolate or vanilla?
I'm going to do terrible at this. The pressure.
Feel it, and then decide chocolate or vanilla.
The issue I have, so you see how they're not going fast?
Go
the
ahead.
issue I have here is I want to elaborate. I
may.
feel like there's reasons.
Okay.
It's vanilla, but not in the traditional sense. I like toppings.
Okay, good. So we're going to throw some chocolate on top.
No, see, here's the thing. Chocolate, I'm a purist. So what happens is chocolate kind of like, it overwhelms. Chocolate and peanut butter. You know how that's all you taste?
Yes.
So that's why I go with vanilla, because then it also enhances the flavor.
Of whatever
One of my
toppings.
favorite toppings, crushed graham crackers. Try it. Thank me later.
That's
Tweet
good.
me. That life changed.
Life changed. Okay, Scrabble or
For an hour.
charades?
Charades.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Wine or beer?
Sprite.
Cool. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Guilty pleasure TV show?
It's So I'm in a season right now where I really like The Good Place, which is
yeah.
this super
It's
fun
cute.
show. It's so cute, and I like the idea of everything you do in life giving you points in heaven. So the idea that like, oh, I held the door for someone, or I left my quarter in my car at the Aldi's, and I gave that to someone, 15 heaven points. You know, like I like
It is really
fun
cute.
concept. So that show, but then that's like my guilty pleasure show. But I also like watching The Prophet, but it feels like work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like I'm like, yes, Marcus, tell them, Marcus.
Exactly.
Like I have those moments.
Favorite snack?
I want to say Twizzlers, but that's just now. I'm in a season right now.
I know, because now you're really healthy, right?
I know.
So what's your snack now? Like my snack now is almonds. Someone
I know.
kill me.
I know. I like those canned mandarin all like mandarin oranges. I can clean
In
up
a
a whole
can?
can of those. They're terrible. They're not good for you. They're sitting in sugar. They're just straight candy, but I classify them as a fruit.
Totally. Okay, what is your favorite music right now?
You know, I don't really listen to music much. Everyone's always like, what's wrong with you? You know, I only listen to country music, first of all. So I listened to, I don't, no one ever expects that. I'm in Texas right now. So I was going to say, I was like, people are going to be like, what are you talking about? I was in Richmond, Virginia at a Chris Young conference, sitting front and center, you know, just boots on, singing along to every song, only little spot of melanin in that whole audience. I mean, it was unbelievable. But I knew all my songs. Okay, I was there for it.
Where does that come from?
I don't know.
You have African parents.
I do have African parents.
I have African
They don't
parents.
understand
Did you know
me.
that?
Did you really have African
South
parents?
African.
No way.
A lot of my family's still
Hey,
overseas.
sister.
I know.
That's crazy.
I can't say I'm African American, but
But
I
you
am.
are. But you legit are. And I was born here. My parents are African, so I am African American. Trippy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's. I don't know where the country music.
Well, that's
comes from.
very odd,
It's
but we
just
love you
good
anyway.
though. I love it. You know, I come
Okay.
to Texas and I fit in. It's like I got my
Yes.
wigs, my
This is
lashes,
your
and my
place.
this is my mecca. It
Yep.
feels good. I'm at
Yeah,
home.
we just need Dolly. We
We
need
do.
Dolly Parton. She
They
would
don't
fit right in
understand.
with us.
People don't understand.
Okay, biggest pet peeve.
Oh my gosh, mediocrity. Ugh. When people only, like, when you get an opportunity and you phone it in, that just drives me crazy. Like, just because, like, you're already there. But it's funny because I totally do it. Like, I totally do it. Like where you have those freak outs, like where you have like a really big opportunity and you freak out, you know, and you just aren't your best, you know. It's just, if you get the opportunity, show up. Just show up and be your best. Like, you're already in the room. You know what I mean? You're already in the room. You deserve to be there. Don't spend time thinking about that. Just be your very best. Like,
What is the wallpaper on your cell phone?
it's a picture of my 6-year-old, the Puffin, on her 5th birthday with the Hubbin, my husband, both dressed as unicorns.
Oh, that is
Yes.
precious. What is the last thing you remember Googling?
What was the last thing I Googled? What was the last thing I Googled? I Google, it's always like Wikipedia stuff. What was the last thing I Googled?
When you were traveling here.
I think I Googled, like, how did almonds grow? No, cashews. How do cashews grow? They actually grow, they're like on the bottom of a fruit. That's why you never get, first of all, that's why they're so expensive. And that's also why there aren't a lot of them ever in a bag, you know, of like, if you ever get like mixed nuts, there's always like 3 cashews. And it's because there's like a nut that looks kind of like a guava, and then they grow at the center of the bottom, and they're harvested in like a very odd way.
We have learned so much during this episode.
I would crush at Jeopardy. This is like my whole life. Like,
Okay, recent book you read.
The Storyteller's Secret by Carmine Gallo.
Favorite book of all time.
Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. Not true, but he's my friend.
Okay.
Everyone buy it.
All right, what is, I love it. What is your next pursuit? What's next for Nicole Walters?
More speaking gigs. I want to get out and interact with people more. Oh, also, I haven't told anyone this anywhere on the entire internet space, except for in my membership community. So this is the first time I've ever announced this to anyone ever. We just signed a development deal for a TV show. So
Amazing!
That is one of the pursuits. It's way more exciting than speaking gigs. But
That
yeah,
is way more
So there, I was like,
exciting.
why? Where else could I announce this? I mean, what
love
could
it.
I do to upshine Tony Robbins? Announce my TV show.
Done.
How about that?
Yes, I
Done.
love it.
Take that, crying Tony. Oh my God, nobody tell him. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if he watches
Tony,
my
have
show.
you seen this? Have you seen this?
I love it. Okay, tell people where to find you.
Yes, everyone can find me at NicoleWalters.tv.
Love it. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. So many great lessons. Go check out everything she has. She has small, medium, and large products, and you can get in on her community and be a rich friend and everything. So go check it out. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm Kelsey Humphreys here with Nicole Walters, and this has been The Pursuit.